Hello, and thank you for attending today's presentation on safeguarding the banking sector, a deep dive into cybersecurity challenges and solutions. Now, before we begin, please take a moment to familiarize yourself with the controls and especially the Q&A button. If you have any questions as we're going along, please put them in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of today's session. With that said, let's get started. Banks have evolved in many ways and are embarking on aggressive outreach to existing and prospective customers. This outreach is causing the potential for more frequent and sophisticated cyber attacks. With that said, banks must make significant investment and commitment to implement strong security controls to secure their infrastructure. Let's take a look at some stats. Banking and financial services in general is one of the most targeted industry by cybercriminals because, like the old saying goes, that's where the money is. Trends and metrics clearly indicate that this won't change in the foreseeable future. Thus, banks and financial services must continually understand the cyber threats they face and implement and update security controls. Financial services, as reported by IBM Security, has the second highest average cost of a breach, only behind healthcare. The cost of a breach includes expenses to identify and mitigate a breach along with costs to a bank's reputation and legal fees and fines. As of late, banks have been minimizing the cost of breach costs by implementing security technology and teams to monitor and respond to cyber threats. Similarly, financial services are receiving high volumes of attacks to their web application and attacks to their business as a whole from DDoS or distributed denial of service attacks. And as Akamai reports points out, the web application attacks are increasingly dramatic, more than 250% year over year, and DDoS attacks are increasing at a high rate as well. Banks are also targets of ransomware. While the rate of increasing ransomware attack isn't as high as the global average for other markets, what is alarming is the increasingly complicated attacks of ransomware as reported by Sophos. Similarly, the impacts to banks and financial services from ransomware attacks is higher than other markets. In short, while banks may experience fewer ransomware attacks, the risks from these attacks are increasing. Let's look at a typical banking network. Today, banks are building out complex and elaborate infrastructure to grow their business by creating new services to attract and support their customers. These infrastructures include, first, regional banks and branch offices, where these bank offices provide in-person services to customers. They're generally autonomous with internal computing resources to support most customer needs, but they are connected to the cloud-based services and resources as well. Second, online and mobile applications. Basically, the foundation of personalized banking services provides the capability to make deposits, manage accounts, transfer money, and access other banking services online with using mobile applications. Online services pose a security risk to both banks that creates the required application and infrastructure and the customers utilizing online banking services. Third, cloud computing basically includes hybrid computing, advanced technologies that leads the way to modernize banking infrastructure. Banks may implement solutions based on public and private clouds working together to offer highly efficient banking services on a global scale. Next, remote workers. Banks, like many other businesses, are competing for experienced workers and adopting remote and hybrid work policies due to changes from COVID. Modern workers are seeing benefits and advantage by having flexibility from these new environments, and banks are incorporating this into their job description and organizational structure. Additionally, remote workers provide increased presence to support branch offices in rural and remote areas to extend support to customers in these areas. Next, redundant data centers. Redundant data centers accomplish two objectives. First, they provide redundancy and high availability to keep business transactions and service delivery operational. Second, they optimize overall processing performance, enabling applications to provide real-time outcomes. Basically combined, these innovations are increasing the presence of banks to reach their customers and provide extensive services, but they're also expanding the attack surface for cybercriminals to target. Some of these common attacks include email, web application, TCP/IP ports, passwords, and credentials. And we should note that not only banks are targets, but also banking customers are targets as well. Let's look at banking attacks and threats. Essentially, bad actors will seek vulnerabilities within the attack surface once they get into a bank. Once access is obtained, the attack will proceed with escalation of privileges, lateral movement, reconnaissance, command and control, and etc. Basically, if you look at it, banks may encounter many types of cyber attacks, but some of the most common attacks are denial service attack, which we spoke about before, phishing, malware, ransomware attacks, web application attacks, and insider threats as well. Let's examine these in detail. We just spoke about web application attacks and DDoS, so let's take a look at this particular scenario. Banks are heavily dependent upon online applications to support their customers. Web applications are widely used by consumers and merchants to manage financial transactions. The public nature of web applications make them obvious target attacks by cybercriminals, and as discussed earlier, there's been a dramatic rise in the increased frequency of attacks against bank web applications. Let's take a look at web application first, and then we'll look into DDoS. Web application attacks are typically enabled from poor secure software development lifecycles, so SDLC methodologies, that build in security into applications by design and mandate rigorous testing to identify security vulnerabilities. Application vulnerabilities provide cybercriminals an opportunity to insert malicious code into an application data field and corrupt the application. Now, there are many easily available tools and techniques for cybercriminals to execute application-focused attacks, including SQL injection, cross-site scripting, local file inclusion. Let's take a look at how these work and how do we defend against them. Essentially, the root cause of an injection attack is lack of full validation and filtering of various inputs from the user in web applications. Injection flaws occur when an application sends untrusted data to an interpreter. Injection flaws are very prevalent, particularly in legacy code often found in SQL queries, LDAP queries, XPath queries, OS commands, program arguments, etc. Injection flaws are easy to discover when examining code, but more difficult via testing. Scanners and fuzzers can help attackers find them. Now, let's take a look at how do we mitigate against some of these injection attacks. Besides the most common SQL injection attacks, a WAF could detect and prevent many injection attacks, including more than 10 injection attacks listed here and more than 200 injection detection rules. The OWASP Top 10 is a standard awareness document for developers and web applications security professionals. It represents a broad consensus among the most critical security risks to web applications. Most WAF will help defend against OWASP Top 10. So what is important when choosing a WAF is choosing the one that combines traditional rule-based detection with semantic analysis. Basically, this dual-engine approach significantly increases accuracy while minimizing false positives. WAFs that leverage machine learning technology to fine-tune security policy and block unknown threats and attacks also work even better. Further, logs can be automatically aggregated across multiple dimensions to allow admins to easily identify suspicious anomalies or locate false positives, and then further refine those policies as needed through machine learning. In addition to the general protection based on rules and scripts for known attacks, you should also consider a WAF with auto-learning capabilities that help mitigate never-before-seen exploits to protect specific applications from zero-day attacks. Basically, a machine learning-based model learns from the data of normal traffic such as parameter, length, cookie, HTTP methods, and etc. Basically, then it tunes itself based on the test results as well as input from administrators and continues updating the learning models and optimizing WAF rules as applications evolve. This method significantly reduces operational overhead by eliminating the troubleshooting of false positive and manual policy tuning. Now, we've spoken about WAF to protect against web-based application attack. Now let's take a look at DDoS defense. DDoS attacks are orchestrated to disrupt banking operations. Even short-term DDoS attacks can be detrimental to a bank and its customers. Banks are extremely at risk from DDoS attacks because any impairment to the bank's ability to process financial transactions will impact a bank's customer and their financial operations, causing a domino effect across many businesses. Now, one of the best ways to mitigate against DDoS attacks is leveraging machine learning algorithms to analyze traffic patterns. This basically can help identify and establish the thresholds dynamically and automatically, and further help mitigate DDoS attacks more accurately. Let's bring it all together and look at how Hillstone can help banks defend against web and DDoS attacks. As a keystone business initiative, the component needed to deliver anytime, anywhere banking must be completely secure. Basically, the requirements include securing the network traffic between different cloud environments and from and to clients through the internet without sacrificing performance. They also need to secure mobile and web applications, secure the servers and infrastructure that maintain the applications, and manage security policy, detect and respond to threats, and monitor network activity. Hillstone's solution benefits include protection against what we spoke about earlier with OS top 10 of the list of application risks, optimal load balancing and access acceleration capabilities, API, app and network protection, basically helping simplify operations through automatic website asset discovery. Now, with that said, let's move on to insider threats. Insiders are basically bank employees and contractors that have privileges to access sensitive data and resources. Insiders represent a significant risk to banks because they are the most frequently targeted entity by cybercriminals. Insiders can also intentionally or unintentionally cause data breaches or unauthorized exposure errors, carelessness, or willfulness. Bank workers are often targeting social media attacks for further phishing and credential stealing actions. So with COVID-19, it had a profound impact on banking worldwide. This led to significant changes in banking networks and IT infrastructure. Here are some ways in which banks' networks have evolved in this response. First, acceleration of digital transformations. Remote work accelerated the digital transformation efforts of banks. Many institutions had to quickly implement or enhance existing digital platforms and tools to facilitate remote operations. This includes deploying secure communication, collaboration tools, upgrading VPNs for secure access to internal systems, and adopting cloud-based technology for scalability and flexibility. Next would be flexible work arrangements. Banks were forced to adopt more flexible work arrangements to accommodate remote work. This meant implementing policies and technologies to support remote work, including flexible hours, remote access to systems, and collaboration tools to facilitate communication and teamwork among remote teams. Lastly, if you look at it, there's a shift in customer interaction. Basically, remote work prompted banks to shift toward digital channels for customer interactions. This included expanding digital banking services, enhancing online customer support, and leveraging virtual meeting platforms for client meetings and consultations. Banks also focus on improving the user experience of their digital platform to meet the evolving needs of remote customers. Now, if we look at what we just spoke about with VPN, traditional VPN solutions perform access authentication a single time when the user first contacts the VPN controller. Once authenticated, the user and endpoints are trusted by default. Basically, they're essentially inside the network and have visibility to all applications and services in the network, similar to a situation where the user and device were physically inside the traditional network perimeter. This means that if a user's VPN login credentials or VPN-enabled device is breached, the attacker has broad access to discovery and lateral movement throughout the entire enterprise network. The foundation of ZTNA is that nothing is trusted, and only minimal access is granted to allow any particular transaction to proceed. Unlike earlier technologies, ZTNA is not a binary allow or deny decision approach. Instead, various levels of access may be granted based on the evaluation of the user and group credentials, device posture, application configuration, location, reputation, and various additional context-aware attributes of the access request. If you look at traditional VPN solutions, they have no context. They're not context-aware. An attacker or malware can easily perform port IP scan and attack discovered host and application if the user's credential or VPN endpoints is compromised by spam, phishing, or malware. ZTNA solutions do continuous trust evaluation for each access request. The ZTNA agent on the endpoint monitors and evaluates the endpoint status to determine if it is secure to connect. If the endpoint is compromised, access attempts are blocked by ZTNA gateway. User and device authentication are fundamental elements of secure access. ZTNA introduces yet another level of security by also taking into consideration the context of the requested access and the security posture of the client and adapting the policy appropriately. Now, by focusing on identity and context, user, device, location, application, ZTNA allows fine-grained access control to enterprise resources and allows secure access in a work-from-home world. ZTNA also covers an environment where businesses connect with and collaborate with non-employees such as partners and contractors. Also protects an environment of increasing IoT penetration inside enterprise networks. Basically, ZTNA implementations can protect resources anywhere, in branches, in enterprise data center, home networks, and in public or private clouds. It has the flexibility to provide different levels of access privileges based on a combination of a large number of attributes, as well as integrating with your existing identity servers. For example, banks can limit employees to read-only versus write access if the user is connecting from an untrusted public Wi-Fi network, maybe at an airport, or from a personal device deemed to have a marginal security posture. Basically, a ZTNA approach ensures that banks can minimize their attack surface without impeding employee and business productivity. ZTNA basically blocks access by default, all access. Nothing is trusted. So resources not explicitly provisioned for access are invisible to users and rendered unreachable and undiscoverable. A ZTNA approach uses identity credentials of users and devices, coupled with a large variety of additional attributes considered along with the context of the requested interaction to grant or deny access. Basically, partial access, such as view-only rather than modify, or download-only rather than download and upload, basically to critical banking resources. Now, let's bring it all together and see how Hillstone can help banks mitigate against insider threats. Bank employees are often targeted by hackers using sophisticated attacks. Thus, banks must ensure their employees are trained on cybersecurity and have secure work environments. Requirements include ensuring secure access for distributed employees, partners, and contractors, establishing conditions to validate compliance from the client before and during the connection, and enforce strong remote access policies. Basically, Hillstone's solution utilized industry-leading next-gen firewall and security manager. The benefits from these solutions include basically what we spoke about with zero trust network access. Basically enables employees to work from anywhere, secure VPN support to protect against cyber threats in remote locations, and in many cases, ZTNA-based remote access is an effective alternative to basically traditional VPN. It also provides visibility and control over user activity, including user behavior and application usage. Also provides application-level access control that allows organizations to control access to banking application data. And finally, validating user identity, endpoint compliance, and also potentially their schedule, time of day, basically access to whatever resource based on time. With that said, let's move on to malware. Email-based attacks are probably the most prolific type of cyber attacks because they're easy to initiate and target a bank's most vulnerable resource. Basically, its employees and people. Phishing is used to fool a user into believing an email is legitimate and lures them into clicking on an embedded link which installs malware on their computer and mobile device. There are a variety of malware types that may get installed: viruses, worms, spyware, rootkits, and ransomware. Perhaps the most devastating type of malware. Ransomware is a really ruthless form of malware that is designed to disrupt, impair, and prevent the operation of critical banking systems. Ransomware makes data unavailable by encrypting it, leaving banks and customers in a pretty bad situation. Many times the only way a bank can reclaim its data and become operational again is paying, unfortunately, cyber criminals. Again, this is not a guarantee too, and many banks that have paid ransomware find out they still can't access their data because cyber criminals never provided the encryption key necessary to decrypt the data. So with that said, there are a few things that banks need to look into with malware. First, today's banking environment requires real-time detection and protection across a spectrum of network attacks and malware. Basically, they need advanced threat detection and protection that includes features such as anti-spam, cloud sandbox, botnet CNC protection, in addition to IP reputation, URL filtering, antivirus. Second, if you look at malware, DGA or domain generation algorithms detection is actually pretty important. DGA are used by malware to generate random domain names to connect to command and control servers. Traditional security measures cannot keep up with the constant changing domain generated by DGA. Machine learning algorithms can analyze patterns in DNS traffic to identify domains that are likely to be generated by DGA. By identifying these domains in real time, machine learning can help organizations detect and prevent malware infections. Last, let's take a look at the challenges of cloud security. Within the increasing virtualization of banking servers and the shift toward infrastructure as a service, traditional network-centric security solutions are simply not sufficient. In the past, securing a traditional data center with hundreds of physical servers would be manageable. But today, one physical server can be linked to hundreds of virtual machines, resulting in thousands of targets that need protection. This basically presents a significant challenge in terms of maintaining comprehensive security coverage. In addition, intruders can easily gain a foothold by exploiting temporary tokens or weakness in IAM or Identity Access Management System, and once they've gained access, they can move laterally and cause trouble. To overcome these challenges, it is essential to find ways to gain visibility of granular traffic such as intra-VM communications. So if you look at today's banking cloud environment, it's not just the north-south traffic between users and servers that pose a security risk, but it's also east-west traffic between virtual machines that share the same data center and physical servers. This creates a challenge. Basically, malware and ransomware can be a threat to one component or service and can easily spread to the other, putting an entire cloud platform at risk. Now, this is where microsegmentation technology comes in. It's like giving each virtual machine its own security bodyguard, so they're protected individually. This allows the cloud network to keep things separate and under control without having to change network setting. Basically, this technology can detect and block suspicious east-west connections within the data center, so it can stop threats from spreading around. Now let's take a look at how Hillstone can help banks mitigate against malware. Basically, bank cloud environments are crucial to their operations, and both physical and virtual environments within the cloud must be secured. Basically, banks need to secure physical and virtual elements, secure the network traffic between different cloud elements to and from clients through the internet without sacrificing performance. Banks need to minimize risks by rapidly identifying and blocking network intrusions. They also need to have effective management consoles, dashboard, and reporting. Now, the Hillstone solution benefits includes complete cloud protection with full visibility, microsegmentation to decrease attack surfaces, also prevent spread, intelligence to understand virtual network threats, also machine learning powered intelligent threat detection and runtime protection. With that said, let's take a look at the branch office security now. Many branch offices use SD-WAN for a variety of reasons. Let's take a look at why and the security implications. SD-WAN, or software-defined wide area network, offers several advantages over traditional WAN or wide area network, such as deployment cost and management. However, note that SD-WAN is primarily a networking solution to route traffic to its destination faster and more efficiently. It is essential to note that many SD-WAN solutions might not have advanced security features. Therefore, banks must implement advanced security inspection and policy enforcement to protect employees and organizations from advanced cybersecurity threats. Monitoring and analyzing network traffic across a WAN can be challenging, particularly when traffic is encrypted or passing through third-party networks. Limited visibility in the network traffic makes it difficult to detect and respond to security incidents quickly. Bank branch offices that leverage SD-WAN needs to have security baked in and not as an afterthought or an add-on. Security solutions need to natively integrate intrusion prevention, attack defense, malware protection, URL filtering capabilities to provide perimeter protection for banks of all sizes. In addition, the SD-WAN solution needs a single pane of management and monitoring for both devices and networks. Banks need to have visibility on the link's health and status and ability to monitor quality of the links. Banks will also need to have visibility into the security posture of the network. They need to be able to see app usage and see usage from a user perspective on each branch office device as well. So we bring this all together, we can see how Hillstone can help banks secure their branch offices. And securing branch offices and ATM is a critical component of a bank's cybersecurity strategy, which requires things such as securing all networks without sacrificing performance, rapidly identifying and block network intrusions, manage security policy, detect and respond to threats, security monitoring. Banks also need to protect ATMs from hackers, malware, and cyber attacks. They also need to make sure they're compliant with PCI DSS and local regulations. Hillstone solution utilizes next-generation firewall and security managers to achieve this goal. The solution benefits include secure ATMs by using NG firewall for branch edge protection, enhanced secure access with extended VPN protection. Hillstone's Security Manager HSM-based secure SD-WAN solution provides policy orchestration, zero-touch provisioning with centralized management and service monitoring. Lastly, advanced threat protection and network security capabilities that can help banks meet PCI DSS compliance requirements. So to wrap things up, we've seen that Hillstone Network created several reference architectures and security solutions to help new ecosystem created by the banking industry to deliver anytime, anywhere banking and offer personalized services and applying new advanced technology to improve overall customer experience. Basically, all of this can combat the security challenge we discussed earlier with web application attacks, DDoS attacks, malware, and insider threats. Now, let's put everything together with Hillstone's AI-driven security solution for banking. So in the field of cybersecurity, no technology can work effectively in silos. Instead, disparate detection and response techniques need to work together to form a closed-loop ecosystem. In this case, AI and AI-enabled detection technologies have become the new frontier in battling cyber attacks. AI, ML, and their many different types of analytics and automation tools act as needles and threads that closes the gap to form a safety net that helps identify and capture attacks and the cyber criminals behind them. Over the last few years, Hillstone Network has been investing in harnessing its AI-driven technologies, basically the network parameter inside the corporate intranet as well as within the cloud. Hillstone solutions work together to block attacks at the network border and detect, track, and mitigate cybersecurity breaches in progress inside the corporate network and in the cloud. Basically, these efforts at Hillstone Network has received awards and gained accolades both domestically and internationally. For example, Hillstone's AI-powered NDR product, the Server Breach Detection System, or BDS, has been listed as a solution in the Market Guide for Network Detection and Response by Gartner. BDS adopts multiple threat detection technologies that include traditional signature-based or rule-based technology and large-scale threat intelligence data modeling, as well as machine learning-based user behavior analysis. The system provides an ideal solution for detecting advanced threats, including ransomware and crypto mining malware, and protecting high-value critical servers and sensitive data from being leaked or stolen. Together, with deep threat hunting analytical capabilities and visibility, BDS provides security admins the effective means to detect IOC or indicators of compromise events, locate risky hosts and servers, and restore the attack chain. Moreover, it conducts threat and attack mitigation with the conjunction of NG firewall, as well as the integration of Hillstone's XDR solution, iSource. BDS also brings an effective and comprehensive solution to detect and respond to different breeds of network attacks and threats in an enterprise asset. Okay, now let's take a look at a couple of banking case studies to put all these concepts and reference architectures together. So in order to manage natural disasters that may disrupt business and to be financially and regulatory compliant, Bank of China in Macau, or BOCM, needed to build a disaster recovery or DR site near Macau with an active configuration that would fail over in the event of a disaster. As a team was architecting requirements and looking for solutions, they realized that the most difficult aspect of technical requirement was selecting a compatible firewall which would route complex traffic flow and simultaneously deliver layer 7 network protection. They needed a solution that must ensure business continuity while protecting critical assets on the network. Solutions delivering network security in redundant, active mode in DR sites typically have trade-offs with features and benefits. However, Hillstone's next-generation firewall, NG firewall, offers a twin mode feature which links redundant firewall pairs across multiple data centers to maintain full security for all traffic flow, which ensures failover without disruption in the event of a disaster. BOCM selected Hillstone's E-Series NG firewall with twin mode feature to fully address their requirements. The Hillstone solution solved the asymmetric traffic flow issue by synchronizing pairs of redundant firewalls in each site via dedicated data control links, essentially creating a single logical firewall. Okay, let's now take a look at a large and well-known bank in Southeast Asia that utilized next-gen firewall. Essentially, their existing next-gen firewall was nearing end of life and lacked several features that the IT security staff deemed critical. The team basically also identified two key requirements. The new NG firewall needs to support both IPsec VPN to provide secure connectivity for branch offices and transaction offices, as well as an SSL VPN to allow field staff and others to securely connect to the headquarters or remote network. The latter will also help assure cybersecurity resilience in the event of a natural disaster, pandemic, or other business disruptive events. Finally, to further ensure business continuity and uninterrupted accessibility, the NG firewall needs to support an active standby, high availability configuration. Fortunately, the Hillstone NG firewall and IPS solution stood out during their POC, or proof of concept, for meeting not only the routing and security requirement for the project, but also excelling at several specific technical needs. In addition, the NG firewall offers extended features like load balancing, which the bank found highly attractive. The bank also gave high marks to Hillstone's technical support services, which they found to be extremely responsive and reliable. So due to the limited amount of time we have here, we're only able to cover a couple of banking studies, but there are many other banks that Hillstones have helped improve their security. As noted before, there are many banks that Hillstone have helped improve their security. You can please use the above link to download other case studies and collateral that goes deeper into how Hillstone can help secure your banking needs. Okay, it's time for Q&A. Let's check to see if we have some questions. Okay, let's address this one first. What's the key differentiation of Hillstone's solution for banking? Okay, Hillstone solutions basically can adapt to the banking vertical by providing several key differentiations. First, it's able to provide consolidated security solutions that can enhance protection and minimize the complexity and expense with a comprehensive system that includes multiple solution technology. Next, can also incorporate AI technology into multiple cybersecurity solutions to enable intelligent threat detection and efficient daily operations. The unified protection across heterogeneous infrastructure can also help ensure financial asset protection in the cloud and seamless on-premise to cloud connectivity as well. Now, what's important to note is Hillstone provides economic solutions of great, basically ROI, price, and performance with flexible software licensing and bundles, basically maximizing banking customers' cybersecurity return on investment to better TCO or total cost of ownership. Okay, let's take a look at the next one here. Next question. A distributed workforce is a very common scenario in banking, and Zero Trust Network Access, or ZTNA, can help address the challenges brought by this use case. Can you introduce or talk more about the Hillstone ZTNA solution? Oh, absolutely. So if you look at the Hillstone ZTNA solution, it is designed to provide secure access to internal and cloud-based resources for employees, regardless of their location or device they're using. You must remember the core principle of ZTNA is never trust, but always verify, meaning that access is not granted based on the physical or network location, but rather on the identity of the user in the context of the access request. So essentially, Hillstone's ZTNA solution typically includes features such as identity-aware, least privilege, secure access, context-aware adaptive access control, and centralized and efficient management. It's basically based on the NG firewall product and only requires a software license to activate it. Okay, next question would be, can you give an example of functions that apply machine learning technology? Yes, great question. So there's about 4 things from a machine learning perspective that we want to highlight with Hillstone's technology. So first would be machine learning and behavior analytics. Hillstone's NG firewall employ machine learning algorithms to analyze network traffic patterns and identify anomalies indicative of attacks. Now, this proactive approach helps detect even novel attacks that haven't been encountered before. Second, encrypted traffic detection, which basically means that traditional security measures cannot inspect the contents of encrypted traffic packets. Now, machine learning algorithms, on the other hand, can analyze patterns in encrypted traffic to identify anomalies that may indicate a threat. So by analyzing patterns in encrypted traffic, machine learning can help banks detect and prevent attacks that might go unnoticed otherwise. Third one would be domain generation algorithms. So DGAs are used by malware to generate random domain names to connect to command and control servers. Traditional security measures basically cannot keep up with constant changing domain names generated by DGA. Now, however, machine learning algorithms can analyze patterns in DNS traffic to identify domains that are likely to be generated by DGAs. So by identifying these domain names or domains in real time, machine learning can help organizations detect and prevent malware infections. Last will be distributed denial of service, or DDoS. So the DDoS attacks can overwhelm network with traffic, making it difficult for banks to provide service to their customer. Now, with machine learning, the algorithms can analyze traffic patterns to identify and establish thresholds dynamically and automatically to help mitigate DDoS attacks. Basically, Hillstone can integrate with the XDR and NDR solution to provide a unified view of security threats across the entire infrastructure, enabling coordinated response efforts. I'd like to thank you very much for those few questions that you've asked, and also for your time. This has been a good and fun Hillstone capability sessions on banking. I'd like to remind you or offer you the opportunity to follow Hillstone on LinkedIn. You can take out your mobile phone and scan this QR code, and you'll be taken directly to the Hillstone LinkedIn page, where you can subscribe and follow the page for product updates, news, and other features. Please connect on LinkedIn, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much again for your time.